Cullen right now.
Have to drink for this one. We got a special versus battle.
Christina Aguilera versus Britney Spears.
Who is the true pop princess? Hey, I'm here every Thursday night, Margaritas with Marcus, 9 p.m. Thursday night. Man, it is April 1st. Happy 1st of the month, and welcome to Margaritas with Marcus. You know how we do, guys. Go ahead, get that cup, get that ice, get those drinks started. Now, as you know, I am in Lent, so I'm finishing up my water here. So cheers to water. All right, guys, we have an awesome show for you tonight. We got Javier, adult film star. We're going to get into his mind, and we're going to see exactly what it entails to be an adult film star. And we're going to follow his journey. But you know what? We can't start the show without getting a drink. So you know what? Let's bring Ray in and see what's going on. What is up, Ray? How you doing?
Good evening. Hey, Marcus, how are you?
What's up, Ray? So Ray looking all fresh and clean, shaved and everything. How are you?
Good. I'm doing great. I'm looking and feeling good. I got my promotion at work. I'm like doing all, I'm feeling fine, feeling great. So
Congratulations. So what promotion did you get? What are you doing at work now?
I am now the new assistant beverage director for my restaurant. So yeah.
Aww.
She's going places. She's doing things.
Hey, you know what? You work so hard and you deserve it. So as you're going to be the assistant manager, that means that we're only going to have even more Karens to deal with. So what drink are you drinking tonight?
Assistant bar manager. So it's like even worse. So yeah, but it's fun, but it's like even the worst. So
what are we drinking tonight? And what ingredients does everybody need to grab at home right now so they can go ahead and make those drinks with us?
Tequila, lime juice, triple sec,
all right,
and orange juice.
Ooh.
Because Margaritas with Marcus is going to be a margarita tonight.
Ooh. Now, what's making this margarita so special? What are you adding extra in it?
The orange juice.
Okay.
It's the death anniversary of the Queen, Selena.
Viva Selena. It was her anniversary yesterday when Yolanda Saldívar killed her. So it's been how many years now has it been with her death?
God, I was 5 years old when that happened.
Wow. She got killed in the 70s?
Oh, bitch.
So let's go to the comments while you're making that drink. Jose says, "Congrats on the raise. That's awesome."
Thank you, Jose. And Ed, no, that's not a downer, Jose. Ed, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to like take it that direction. But,
so tell us about the Karen of the week. What's going on?
Oh God. So she was very much not a Karen in training, but just a Karen. Like, you know, like you get the young girls who come in and they just try to they try to be like, oh, well, I want this and I want that. No.
So you got another Karens in trainings? Oh God.
Oh, that's what I deal with up here. Like, I don't know what y'all deal with down in Florida. Up here in Boston, it's all like Karens in training, and it's all like these young girls who just want to have it their own way. And we had these girls who tried to complain about how, because we have two restaurants,
okay,
and from our owners, and our second location has a bigger kitchen than we do. So they were so rude, and they were so like just needy, and it didn't make any sense. The fact that they were just that mad about how our menu wasn't the exact same as our second location, even though we make it known that we are both totally two separate locations. So, but I'm gonna be doing a margarita today. And with this, I am throwing a couple of ounces of tequila. I am going to be throwing some lime juice in. I'm going to also throw a splash of some orange juice in. Maybe just a little more than a splash of orange juice.
A little, and getting ready for the second segment. You know how live TV is over here, guys.
Sorry about that.
No, so tell me something right now. So now, what are you excited about now that you're going to be the assistant bar manager? What are you going to do different to these Karens that you couldn't do as a server?
Same thing as I've been doing lately. So,
and
I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna be me. So,
and you know what? That's why you got the position that you got.
yeah.
What would you say is the worst drink to make as a bartender when you're in the weeds and you just don't want to make anything? When you see that ticket, what's the worst drink that you're like, fuck, why do I have to make this?
A mojito.
Oh, because you have to crush everything. You got to put the mint leaves.
Yeah.
It's so involved. So let's see what's going on with the margarita.
All right. So I went ahead and I kept making the drink. I am going to finish it up. So I normally I will garnish it with some salt and a lime. I don't like a lot of salt now, so I'm going to just do what we call a dirty dump, which can be portrayed as something totally different, but I'm just not doing the salt. And yeah, so this is cheers.
All right, I'm back. All right, we're here, guys. Cheers. So, Ray, I'm sorry about that, guys, while Ray was making that drink. So, Ray, you make the margarita. The mojito is the worst drink that you hate making. What's your favorite drink to make?
A margarita.
Well, how convenient that we're on margaritas with Marcus.
And it was funny because like a year ago is when I was like 1 month into doing my cocktail videos. You remember the videos that I used to make?
Yeah, during the pandemic. That was pretty awesome. You should get back to doing those videos. I mean, those instructional videos are really good.
Well, I'm doing them with you, boo.
Well, you know what, Ray? Make sure to put all of your information below in the comments so everyone can get your social medias. Make sure that they leave that tip on that Venmo because you know what? We're still in a pandemic and he's still
yes, we are.
Ray, cheers to you, my friend. I love you. And I can't wait to hear about the Karen of next week. And congratulations on the promotion. You really deserve it, man. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. It's been a long time coming.
Family of the show, Ray. We love you, bud.
All right.
You know what, guys? It's always a pleasure having Ray. And that margarita I know tasted good. Make sure to follow the ingredients that he gave you and make that drink and enjoy it. Now, you guys see my WandaVision tank? Amazon.com, for those of you that are asking where I got it from. It was like 18 bucks, really good deal. So Amazon.com, they got them in different colors too, so make sure to grab them. I love that show. WandaVision was really one of those television shows that from start to finish, you just enjoyed every single episode. I mean, it was so well written, so well shot. I mean, I love WandaVision. But we'll get to hot topics in a little bit. Now, we're going to get into the mind of an adult film star. If you want to admit it or not, we've all gone online and we've searched for a little something extra late at night. We've all searched for that little video that gives us a little something extra to work with. But what happens to the people that actually film the videos? How do they get there? What are the steps? What are they thinking? Well, you know what? We're going to find all that and a little bit more, I'm sure, with our guest tonight. Javier, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show. Javier, can you hear me? I don't think he can hear me, but that's all right. That's what technology is for. We're going to go ahead and let him know we can't hear him and get him right back on that screen. Javier, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
I'm good. How about you?
Okay, there's a time lapse.
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you through my TV, but not through my phone.
Okay, can you hear me now? Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me? Because if you unmute yourself, then we can't hear each other. Because I can't hear you if you mute yourself. Okay, can you hear me now? All right, and while he's getting those technical difficulties set up, we're gonna get into his mind. I can't hear you. Let me check right now. All right, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes. If you unmute yourself, then we can't hear each other. I can't hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I didn't mute any.
All right, and while he's getting those technical difficulties set up, and we're gonna get it together, guys. Don't worry.
You hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
Okay.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Javier. So the first thing I want to ask, even before we get into how you got into porn, what was the first stage that you actually saw porn at?
Yeah, there's definitely time lapse between the phone and the television right now.
Yes. And you can't hear me on the phone, correct? Can you check the volume and make sure that everything's okay on the phone? Yep, I hear you.
Okay.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Javier. So the first thing I want to ask, before we get into how you got into porn, what was the first stage that you actually saw porn at?
Yeah, there's definitely time lapse between the phone and the television right now.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, there seems to be a big lapse on this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click you out and click you back in so we can try the sound again. All right. And while Javier gets his sound back together, we're gonna talk hot topics. Have you guys seen the new Lil Nas video? What are you guys thinking about that? Lil Nas' new controversial video, Montero, just hit the streets, and all the Christians and the right-wingers are going insane. But here's my question. If someone like Rihanna, Britney Spears, Katy Perry, if they would have done the same thing, the video would have been as controversial. I believe it's because he's gay and black and just not giving a fuck that it's really making a difference and it's really ruffling people's feathers. You know what? Let's jump into the comments and see what everyone's thinking. All right, we're not going to be showing that one. Is this so much for you to do? You know what, guys? We're having a wild show so far. Technical difficulties are not going to get the best of us. And it seems like he's about to try to come back in. Let's see what we got. Javier,
Yeah. You hear it?
I hear you.
Okay.
Awesome. So Javier, if you want to turn the volume down a little bit, beautiful. So what age did you see your first porn?
Well, it was some degree actually of a way of like, I guess you could say like giving back, because for me in my struggle with coming out, I, part of what inspired me to come out was watching gay porn.
Okay.
And I kind of felt like, that, if I did it myself and being a sexual person, that it would be my way of inspiring someone who was kind of in my shoes at one point, where they were watching porn as a bit of an inspiration because they felt they were seeing someone who was sexually liberated. Little did I know that once I got in it, that the industry itself did not feel that way.
So what age were you when you did your first porn?
I'm sorry?
How old were you when you did your first porn?
Actually I was 34.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, this is actually this day is the 16th anniversary of my very first porn gig.
Oh, well, happy anniversary. Thanks for celebrating.
It's such a coincidence because and yesterday was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And the day after, I had a porn shoot. My first porn shoot was a webcam show on a webcam site called showguys.com.
Javier, let me stop you there. I really want to get into your mind about this. So you're 34, you're feeling sexually liberated, you want to do porn. How do you get into it? Do you call someone that you know? Do you go into a wall? How do you get into the actual business?
Well, it's honestly, if my whole thing was entirely done on my own. The way I got that webcam gig was I saw a site on a listing in a gay nightlife magazine here called, I forgot which one it was, either Next Magazine or HX, I think probably Next Magazine, and it had an ad asking for models, and I answered it, sent some pictures, lousy pictures made with the cell phones we had back then in the early 2000s. You remember that lovely blue hue that was on all your photos.
Major.
I sent them into the to the email address. The guy called me up, had me come over, look at a video, saw me get an erection, and he booked me for a solo show.
So you're doing solo shows, which I'm assuming that you're masturbating on. When do you get the invitation to actually do a shoot with another person?
About probably 2 months later, I was trying to apply to all of the more mainstream companies, but none of them were answering. So I applied to this ethnic gay porn director named Tyson Kane, and he's the one who actually gave my first porn gig.
So did you actually do the porn gig with him, or did you give me an actor?
No, he gave me an actor to do it with. However, at the very last, I had an actor planned. Then, at the very last minute, he changed it up. He changed up my scene partner at the very last minute.
Were you happy with that? Do you even get an option of like who you want your scene partner to be, or is it whoever you show?
I think it depends on the company sometimes, because he gave me a selection to go through, and I made the selection, and at the very last minute, it was changed, and he asked me if I was okay with it, and I was okay with it. So that's how I wound up with that person. I was totally happy with how the scene turned out.
And walk us through the scene. So you're in the bed, and the director just yells action, and you just do what you do. Is there a certain technique, an angle that you have to cut off?
It always goes from, it differs from person to person. Some people, it is just like what you just described. It's like, you're on the bed or whatever preceding scenario, then they yell action and you just start and go into that. Or sometimes the next movie I did after that first one, one of the scenes I did, we were just all on the bed, making out. And then right in the middle of us making out, he just yelled action. I'm like, oh, thought we were already there.
All right. So you're making out, you're doing this scene, you guys are getting hot and heavy. In your mind, do you feel like I'm making a porn, or are you actually enjoying it like you're having a hookup with someone sexual?
For me, it's I don't really that's the thing. I've always tried to pick situations where it would be someone I would be comfortable with, even if I was off camera.
Mhm.
Sometimes it always doesn't work out that way though. But so when it is that situation where you're totally comfortable with someone you would play with off camera, you can be totally free with the situation and not necessarily, think about, oh, there's a camera here and all that other stuff.
So speaking of feeling comfortable with your scene partners, have you ever had a crush on a scene partner? Have you ever guys had such a connection and like the sex was so wild and so raw and so intimate that you guys took it from off the camera to something else?
No, I've had scene partners that I've flirted with outside of the off screen but nothing's ever come to fruition with it actually of us actually hooking up all the way.
Would you date another porn actor?
Um, Considering what I've come to know of the industry now, no.
And when you say considering of what you know the industry now, what did you think the industry was going to be when you first got into it? And what was the real exposure that you got to it? What is the industry now, as you're saying?
Well, what I initially thought it was like I mentioned earlier, was that I thought it was people who were sexually liberated and who are really, really, truly exhibitionists like myself, and who might have had in mind the fact that they were, putting an image out there that people were getting a learned sexual behavior from. When I realized that the industry gave a care to none of that at all. They just wanted, pretty faces to do whatever the director said, no regards for what an actual performer may want. That was the harsh realization that I had come to, and that's why I eventually wound up retiring from the industry.
So it wasn't as liberating or as free as you first assumed. It was very more calculated, very more quote unquote scripted. So my next question for you is there any moments during any shoots or anything where when you're in between the scene and everything, you're just not feeling it in the scene anymore and you just want to stop, or that sexual urge or that sexual passion just isn't there anymore?
Oh yeah, I've had a couple of scenes where that's been the case, and odd thing is that I've had people come to me and say, when they talk about that scene, they'll be like, "Oh, that was a hot scene. I know I crushed many a dream," and I go, "No, it ain't."
So they really have the person that's giving oral sex to the actors on the side just to bring them back up. I heard that there's a fluffer or something during movies. Is that just a rumor, or is there some truth to that?
That might have been an old school thing in porn in the old days, but not these days. No, your fluffer is your scene partner.
I mean, that's a good fluffer to have. So you're killing it in porn, you're making these movies, you're having a good time. What happens when your family finds out? How do they react? And how did they find out?
Oh, I told my mom.
Okay. And so you're like, hey mom, I'm doing porn? Or how did that come out?
Yeah, it pretty much was kind of like that. I mean, like, well, first of all, I came out late anyway. Because I didn't come out till I was on the verge of turning 31. So I was late coming out anyway. So I just one day just called up and just told her like everything that I was doing. As a matter of fact, I was doing a go-go dancing gig, and it was about to turn a New Year's go-go dancing gig is what I was doing when I called her on the phone and told her. And she said, "Well, I figured so." She was like, "Well, my mom's pretty smart and perceptive. Now you see where I get it from." So when I called her and told her, she was like, "Well, I knew something was going on. I mean, considering the type of people you were mentioning being around." So she was just glad that she knew exactly what was going on.
And she was 100% supportive, and she didn't act weird or anything. I mean, I think most parents would act a little freaked out or weird when their kid tells them that they're doing porn, especially gay porn. What did she feel?
Well, my mom is very religious, so and that was part of what made me take so long to come out, was because of that. So when it got to that point of me coming out to her about my sexuality, it was kind of she took kind of the same rule, like she still has her feelings based on religion about homosexuality and whatnot, and so she felt, well, you're an adult. Because see, that first time where I got the scare about my degree of gay was I was like 10 years old.
Okay.
And so putting that fear into me for all them years, by the time I was 31 and told her, that was when she was like, well, you're an adult now, so whatever you do now is between you and God.
Yeah. And I can only imagine how liberating that was. I bet once your mom gave you like that green light, I bet you were fucking like crazy and doing all the movies, huh?
No, it honestly, it honestly, for me, it really didn't matter by that point. Far as I'm concerned, I got feel pretty liberated after my very first scene.
Do you still talk to that original scene partner?
No, I don't talk to any of my scene partners, actually. Because we really haven't run into each other. You don't really walk in the same circles anymore. I think most of them have left the industry anyway, so they went on and doing whatever their thing is now.
You know what? Let's jump into the questions because the audience has got some good ones. Let's see what they got. So Twyla Rich wants to know, have you ever had a scene partner that was so hideous and disgusting that you couldn't even get it up or get it together?
Yes, that happened. We went through the whole thing because I was a bottom for gay porn, which for a black guy that's a rarity. But I marketed myself as a bottom, and so one of the scenes I was doing, I was bottoming. So we did the sex part and him, shooting his load and everything already. So it was now, since they always want the bottom to do one as well, I was doing a cum shot. Originally, they had it be that he was sitting behind me, and I was sitting on the floor in front of him jerking off. Okay. And the thing is, I just, and I hated his fucking voice. And he was skinny as a rail. So those two things together was just, fucking it up for me. And then and eventually the director said, okay, what do you need? I didn't turn around. I said nothing. I just told the guy, don't talk. And then so they took the guy off. I sat on the chair instead and jerked off, had my little fantasy. Within 5 minutes, I did my cum shot.
Wow, so it is true. Like it's really mental at the end of the day. Jose wants to know, how often do you need to use Viagra or other supplements for shoots?
It's pretty, what they pretty much at this point, they kind of more so just, well, then, because I was in the industry from early 2000, like 2005 to 2009 is when I was in the industry. So it was back then. But they pretty much always gave it to, back then, they pretty much always gave it to us because they wanted that guaranteed erection. So I don't know what they do, how often they do it now, but that pretty much is what they did back then. So I assume it's probably is still that same way, because I've heard other studios, mention things like, erectile injections to have erections and stuff like that. So I think it's still pretty much going on.
So you market yourself as a bottom. Did you ever get asked for any pornos to actually top? And if you did, how did you feel when you had to top? Was it like weird doing a different scene now that you were in a different position? Was it a little more nerve-wracking? Or were you just like, hey, at this point, it is what it is. I can do it.
Oh, I never topped on camera. I'm versatile off camera. I've always, because part of my reason of marketing myself as a bottom, and my goal was to be in more mainstream porn, with white porn actors. It was kind of my goal because of the fact that back then you didn't see a lot of and you still don't to this day see a lot of black guys bottoming. So I got in the that was my goal because I wanted to break through that, I guess you say, glass ceiling in the industry. But back then, they weren't really having it. So it eventually, I mean, it's happening now, and I actually give myself a pat on the back to an extent, because I feel that the black guys you see in those interracial scenes bottoming now probably wouldn't be doing so if it wasn't for me making such a big fuss through my blogging about it. That and the recession is what kind of opened their minds to like the idea of, oh yeah, we need to try something new in order to make money now.
Do you think that, because what I feel like when I feel porn, I feel they want to cast like the white Adonis, like, the blue eyes, the blonde hair. Do you feel as a black entertainer, it's harder to get those mainstream roles in the porn business, especially being black and a bottom? Or do you think right now we're at the age of OnlyFans, the internet? Do you think it's just much easier to just market yourself and not even have to rely on studios?
I think studios kind of help. I think in the midst of this pandemic, I think that's what's kind of helping adult entertainers, people who are studio-based porn, is kind of what's helping them stay afloat. I do feel like there is this, fine line now happening between the studios and the OnlyFans, because some of the websites I notice are taking people who have some degree of a huge following on an OnlyFans account and putting them in the studio-based porn. So they're kind of trying to still bring those people in. But as a black entertainer in both of those platforms, it's still hard, whether you're top or bottom.
Right. Now, tell us about your most amazing, memorable scene. This one scene out of no matter all the scenes that you've done, that you always go back to this one scene. It was just, it was the best, What scene was it?
Oh, what the heck? The Interview.
Ooh.
That was the name of the movie. There's two movies actually. The Interview, and there's one of the last movies I did was called All Out Assault. Basically, with The Interview was pretty simple. Was that for some reason it was my scene partner was Fabian Gotti. For whatever reason, it was just like the best sex I ever had on camera. To the point that when the directors yell and cut, I kind of got so into it that I kind of forgot that I was on a porn set and forgot, when he yelled and cut, I was like, oh shit. And he's kind of still actually in me, slowly going back and forth inside, in me, even though the director done yelled cut. So I guess it was pretty good for him too. Yeah, so the other movie, All Out Assault, with that one, it was just that everything that I wanted out of porn for the three previous years I was doing it had finally came together, where the director listened to what I, wanted. Me and the director wanted the same exact thing. The scene partner that I had mentioned, the guy who I mentioned that I found interesting, he also had spoke to him because it was a startup company. So he also had talked to the guy as well. So he put that guy in the scene with me, and me and that guy liked each other, as soon as we saw each other, before we even got putting the scene together. So so with the chemistry you may see between us, that is 100% real.
What would you recommend to everybody that wants to get into porn? You've been in the business for so long. What should they avoid and what should they do?
Unfortunately, I actually more so tell people to not get into it, because I tell them about my experiences with the industry and how certain people are pigeonholed and the racism involved and how massive the racism is, so that they don't, because my thought is, if you're running into this industry where the racism is so blatant, what does that say about you?
Beautiful. Yeah. And you spoke about after retiring, you've been blogging and you've been doing a lot of activities in the community. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I do erotic poetry now. Um, I do erotic poetry. I kind of started going further into what I originally got into porn for, um, the sex education bit. And so I tried to go into more, what I felt was a more positive direction with that. So I just started blogging more about the mental aspects and physical aspects of sexuality. And some, websites are starting to, help me, and sex toy companies are starting to pick up on it and help me along. That's why I occasionally do blogging for a sex toy company called Kiru. I also write a column for a New York City-based gay nightlife website called Thodacy. So I do all that now, and occasionally on my own, with some of the sex toys I get because of my day job of working at a sex shop, and sometimes through certain companies. I do occasionally do video reviews and written reviews, and my video review is called the Nude Dude Review.
Ooh, make sure you guys follow the Nude Dude Review and tell us about the Nude Dude Review.
Oh, well, the concept basically is that I break the review up into certain sections, like what drew me to the idea of the toy, what are the features of the toy, and how to maintain the toy, and my overall assessment. And as each section goes along, it's the basic motto for the new review is the more I'm impressed, the more I get undressed. So in each section, I start taking off more and more clothing.
Oh, wow. That definitely sounds interesting, and you got to put that in the comments so everyone can follow. But before I let you go, I got to ask you, can you recite one of your poems for us?
Oh, wow. It may take just a little bit. I can come up with something.
Yeah, give us something in your head, something off the phone, something how you feel now. We love free verse poems on the Margaritas with Marcus.
Okay,
And
let me.
And for everyone that's just joining us, we are here with sex superstar and now advocate Javier Lenar Xavier, and he's about to recite a poem for us, as he is also a poetry writer. So you know what? Let's see what he's got.
Let me see. Okay.
Well, you know what? While you're looking at that, we got a big question from one of our fans. Let's read what we got. Do you feel that porn nowadays gives people a false sense of the real day-to-day sex with a partner?
Most definitely, because I still deal with the whole issue of people perceiving, like white guys perceiving that, as soon as they meet me, before they even discuss what my position is, the fact that I'm actually versatile, they automatically gravitate to the idea of me being a top for them. Meanwhile, if you find any of my pictures, you'll see that I have an ass that pretty much is pretty nice ass that wouldn't mind getting banged once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, your pictures are definitely yelling, "Hey, I'm a bottom. Hear me roar." So keep it up.
Okay, I found one that I wrote some years ago. It popped in my head on a subway ride to work one day, and so the title of this is appropriately titled "J Train Lust."
Ooh.
Stepping onto the train at Maryland Broadway was you, a dirty blonde with a dirty mind. The dirty mind told by the bulge in your jeans. Nice to see you were one of my kind. Was it caused by passing thoughts or a sight you were in the midst of seeing? Well, you were stuck next to me for the next 10 minutes, so I wondered if I had caused that feeling. But maybe that wasn't your dick getting hard. Instead, that was it when it's soft. I really didn't care which one it was. I just wanted to help you get off.
Oh wow.
I wanted to disregard that crowd, squat down and pull it out, taking closely the beauty of your dick before I put it in my mouth. I wanted to introduce my tongue to the smoothness of your glands, and with every pleasing lick, feel your shaft swell in my hands.
Oh my.
I'm sure you caught me looking down, reveling in this 10-minute fantasy. That I wish could have somehow ended with my body some way taking your seed. But alas, we're at my stop. We have come to Essex Street. If we should be sardine can close again one morning, maybe then we can officially meet.
And make sure to catch his poetry book coming out on Amazon soon. That shit was really good.
Thank you.
Javier, thank you so much for being on the show today and letting us take a little peek in the mind of an adult entertainer and showing that, you know what, it's not just all fun and games and fucking in the adult business. I really appreciate what you're doing, and I thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you.
Hey, it was
Thank
a
you for having
while. Take care. Wow. Thank you so much to Javier for being on the show. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna watch the show back and write that poem down because I'm definitely saying that at the next Christmas dinner. Thanks for being on the show, Javier. But you know what we've got now? We've got hot topics. We're jumping right back into hot topics as we were before. And did you guys hear? Nick Jonas is out of The Voice. Ariana Grande is taking his place, and she's going to be the new host on, well, one of the new judges on The Voice. You know what I realized? Between Blake Shelton, Kelly Clarkson, and John Legend, if you combine their Twitter followers, Ariana Grande still has about 20 more million followers. So that means that this show is going to be super highly rated, and I think she's going to infuse a really fun energy. I mean, she's had an awesome year. Positions is killing the charts. The whole album's doing amazing. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And while D is getting ready, we're going to jump into the comments and see what we thought about our guest. So Brian said, nice poem. Yes, I love the poem. Magali Lali LeVay, she loved the poem. She wants a copy of it for her coffee table at home. Love her, pero hope she speaks up. You know what? I think Ariana Grande is going to be a great judge. You know, she's been in the business for a while. She's from Nickelodeon, so she's part of that whole like little kid stable. And I definitely think she's going to do a lot better than Mariah Carey, just for the simple fact that Ariana's more in tune with reality. You know, Mariah's been famous and a diva for so long that I just think it was a little different for her to to judge American Idol as opposed to Ariana, who's a lot younger, more into the social media. So only time will tell, and we'll just have to see what's going on. Is he the one? Is he the one that raped Demi on Camp Rock, Nick Jonas, and that's why he left The Voice? I was not aware that he raped Demi Lovato, but let's talk about Demi Lovato. I feel like Demi Lovato reminds me of like old school Lady Gaga. You guys remember when Lady Gaga, she used to have, let's say Lyme disease was the big thing out in the news. Lady Gaga would randomly have Lyme disease. Let's say someone, you know, lost a family member at war. Lady Gaga would randomly found a chest in her house with her grandfather from Vietnam's pictures. So I feel like Demi Lovato is this artist right now where she's just doing, I don't know. I love you, Demi. Oh, what's going on? 1 minute you're doing this, 1 minute you're doing that. Tell us what's going on, Demi. Miss LaVey. Oh, LaVey. I can't read, obviously. Did you hear that RuPaul is stepping down for RuPaul's Drag Race? All right, guys. So earlier today, while we do hot topics and everything, I'm texting my producers what we should talk about, what we should, anything. And I see this meme on Facebook and it says RuPaul's Drag Race. RuPaul steps down. No news why. Bianca Del Rio taking over. Well, I text my best friend producer and I'm like, hey, can you believe RuPaul's stepping down? He immediately tells me it's April Fool's. I feel like a fool. You guys got me. So, ha ha ha. No, Demi is truly fucked up. I agree with you, Twyla Rich. I agree with you. So, you guys, a little bit about what to expect for next week. Next week, yes, he will be here. Our bachelor is ready to go on camera, and he's going to tell us what he is looking for as we start our bachelor search. Our versus battle is going to be back because we got two super fans going at it in the ring. We are going to have that Tina Turner versus Cher legendary battle next week. And before we go, you know what we got to do? Ask Marcus. So remember, if you have any questions, you want any advice or anything, go ahead and email me at margaritaswithmarcus@gmail.com. That's margaritaswithmarcus@gmail.com. All right, so our first question comes from, let's see here, Unique Problem in Brickell. I'm a 36-year-old single straight male. For some reason, only men seem to be attracted to me. If I sit at a table in a restaurant or bar, a man will come over and sit next to me. If I go to the park, a man will sit next to me on the bench. What park are you going to? Walking down the street, random men approach me. It's terrible. I'm straight. Please help. Signed, Unique Problem in Brickell. Hey, Unique Problem with Brickell. Thanks for reaching out. A couple questions. What park are you going to that just random guys are sitting next to you? If you're truly straight, then this is a tough one because I know you personally, so I've always felt that you've actually had a little bit of a gayness to you. So perhaps instead of admitting that you're straight and you're so straight, try to look inside and see maybe why these people are attracted to you. Maybe you are gay. Maybe you need to taste a little bit to see what's going on. But if truly in your heart you're not gay and you want these guys to stop hitting on you, stop wearing Daisy Dukes and tight pants. I'm sure that'll help out. Marcus says, Dear Marcus, I know my friend Matt for more than 10 years. We've been close for most of those years. Matt is also gay. And early in our friendship, we had a mutual friend, Gary, who used a homophobic slur often, even though he knew Matt was gay. It annoyed Max, so I spoke with Gary about it. Gary not only apologized to Matt, but to this day, some 9 years later, I haven't heard Gary say that word in our company. Recently, this is a long one. Recently, Matt has started using the N-word and not nigga, the other one. I've told him that not only is it disgusting and offensive, but I compared it to the situation with Gary. Matt laughed it off and continues to use the word with no regard for me. I've started spending less time with him because I don't condone racism, and I don't want him to think that I condone his racist language. Is it time for me to cut ties with Matt? Signed, racism is still alive in America. That sounds like a scenario in training for a job. You know what you got to do? You've already told your friend how you feel, and if he doesn't respect how you feel, then you got to cut the friendship. Friendships are a two-way street, and it's about respecting each other. He shouldn't be saying that word anyways, and the simple fact that he's saying that and disrespecting you just shows that he has no feelings for you and no respect for you. So cut him out. Matt, later, buddy. You're not a real friend, and stop using that word. It's not 1947. Come on, man. Grow up. I can't believe racism is still alive in the world, and that's why we have to stay strong and just be us, guys. Well, we've come to the end of this technically difficult show that we made it through. Javier, thanks for being on the show tonight. Ray, I love you so much. Thank you for that margarita and for the Karen of the Week. Grab a drink with us next week, Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Facebook and YouTube. And remember, guys, As long as you can look in the mirror and you're happy with what you see, that's all that matters. I'll see you next week, guys. Love you and God bless.